Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com. Your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Before we get off and rolling on the first day of preseason camp, I want to remind you to like and subscribe. That means we can bring you more content like Jacob Warren, who joins us now with the Ball Report of Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland, Toro. Count on it. And Jacob, it's here. It's football season. We've been talking about it for a long time. First practice this morning. How'd things go?
Fantastic, actually. I think for as far as first day wise, I think everything went really smooth and offense was clicking pretty good. The defense was, covering well, was good in coverage. It's weird sometimes you get a first day and, one side comes out and is kind of sluggish, is kind of slow, or just can't quite get the hang of things. But both sides really good. It's a really competitive day.
Usually it's the defense that in the coming days and weeks, I won't say weeks, in the coming days will be ahead of the offense because there's not as much assignment football, but it doesn't sound like that might be the case moving forward. What do you think?
No, yeah, generally I think the defense, I guess, has the advantage right early on, just because, like you said, we're as the offense, we're trying to. There's just a lot of assignments. There's a lot of calls. There's a lot of, looks that the defense is giving us that we kind of just have to get used to. And you got to watch some film and kind of get a feel for it. Just like going into a game week, it's obviously we're not playing games against each other, but, the defense is our competition for the week or for the month or whatever. And so the more familiar you get with your competition, the easier it is, I think, to kind of be successful against them. So, it's good. Like I said, they did well today. We did well today as a team. I think it was a good first day for sure.
Where does this time of the year rank for Jacob Warren? Because he's in practice, the class load isn't as heavy, so you get to focus on football. When I ask him that, brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. They've got all the hedgers and trimmers that you need. Everything there at Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Toro, count on it. They've got those big commercial mowers too with the steering wheel. Pretty darn cool. Jacob, where does this rank as far as being a college athlete as your favorite part of the year? Because, you're in August, primarily it's time to focus on football. It just seems like it would be nice to be in a little bit more of a regimented, whereas you're thinking in your head, oh, I've got to do this for football. I've got to do this for class, and I've got to do all that in my family. And this seems like a nice time of the year for football players.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that the coaches kind of harp on is, like, this is your time to just be a professional football player. Like, this is what the guys do in the league, right? They wake up in the morning, they go there, they eat, they have meetings, and they work out and they practice, and then they go home for the night. There's no class. There's no, extracurricular stuff you got going on. You don't have to go to, not many people are in like tutoring appointments or Thornton appointments. So you're able to kind of just lock in and truly, I guess, just eat, sleep, breathe, live football for a month. And it's really cool because, you go into it kind of like, oh man, like whatever, fall camp, it's going to be hard. You're going to be up early. You're going to be going to bed late. But once you kind of get into it and you get a groove of it, it's really cool just to kind of feel like, wow, this is crazy. This is literally all I'm doing is football, but I'm enjoying it. And getting better is also really fun too.
Well, and it probably goes a little bit slower in the beginning. And then, at least for me anyway, when I covered it from the media's perspective, it kind of hit warp speed and it was a blur there for a couple of weeks.
For sure. Yeah, you definitely, after about practice 5 or 6, the days start running together. Like, you don't really know what day it is. You just know it's the third day of practice and we got full pads today. That's all you know. So, it gets interesting and it's, I don't know, definitely a one of a kind experience.
Yeah, I've been working on this series, and we're continuing it. The top incoming players, so not just freshmen, but top incoming transfers. When we talk about the Turrentines
Mhm.
of the world, the Wesley Walkers of the world, and some of those guys, and Brew McCoy, obviously. But is there any particular player, be it freshman or incoming player, that you're excited about seeing and what he may be able to do on the field, or even a handful of them?
Yeah. So I think one of our young backs, Dylan Sampson, he sits like three lockers down from me. So we're always just kind of joking back and forth with each other, and have built a pretty good relationship um, off the field. Just kind of being boys or whatever. But um, he broke a couple runs today and really looked good, and I was happy because like I know he's a great athlete, I know he's a great player, but it's cool to kind of see, you know, I've seen his speed in the pre-camp workouts and stuff, and I've seen his footwork. But it's just cool to kind of see stuff like that come together, and really hopeful for him, and hope that he can kind of make an impact on that group. Um, yeah, obviously Wesley Walker, Andre Turntine, you got these guys on the other side of the ball that I don't necessarily see all the time, or don't necessarily notice. How I don't know how good their feet are. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that I would be able to tell from as an offensive guy, but have kind of just molded and gotten comfortable um, on that side of the ball against us. I mean, I'm watching them when I'm going against them and stuff, and they're making calls and kind of fitting right in. So that's obviously good to see. Um, Obviously, Brew is going to be a great addition for us. Big wide receiver, got good hands, runs good routes, physical guy. So yeah, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of promise in the new people that we've got.
Back in the olden days, you would say, "Oh, this player transferred for a reason. He must be a malcontent," or "He went to junior college for." I know this all sounds
Right.
stupid now. You're shaking your head. He went to
Yeah.
junior
Yeah.
college for a reason. There must be academics or something else, and we'd all kind of wink and give that look. Um,
Right.
but now transferring is so normal and such a part of it that you really expect those guys to step in and have an impact from day one. In particular with Brew, I mean, you've been around him since he's on your side of the ball. I think transferring 3 times back to Texas, back to Southern Cal, now to Tennessee, I think concerns some Tennessee fans. But what are your impressions of him as a person, as a teammate, as an individual?
Yeah. Obviously, I don't know how to say this. I guess without knowing someone's character and just kind of background and their situation, and knowing a lot of the details about things that go on and what happens, it's easy to be like, oh, so like you said earlier, like, oh, something's wrong with this kid. Obviously, he can't stick anywhere. He's gotten pushed out of every place he's been, whatever. But once you like actually sit down and get to know the guys, and get to know them, like I said, on a deeper level, like it doesn't really matter to me why he transferred, or what the reason was, or you know what I mean. He's here, and he's always treated me with respect, and has just been a great person to be around. He's part of kind of our little a little bit of our little group that we hang out with outside of football, and he's around quite a bit, and I've got to know him pretty well. And like I said, I mean, it's just another guy. You know what I mean? Just another guy on the team at this point.
Tell me something I don't know about Brew McCoy then, since you guys are hanging out away from the facility. What's something I don't know about Brew McCoy? And by the way,
uh,
oh, kudos to Jacob Warren. Okay. At SEC Media Day, Hendon Hooker was flashing some kicks that I don't even know what they were. And Jacob is the one who told us first that he had some
yeah,
incredible kicks. But I don't look at shoes. I think women look at shoes. I don't look at shoes, but you do, and Hendon does. And people are coming up to me and goes, "How much do you think those cost?" And like the opening
don't worry
dollar,
about it.
don't
Don't
worry.
worry about
It's
it.
right.
Don't worry about it.
People are
Yeah,
asking me. I was like, I've got no idea. My little whatever they are, I don't know. Nikes cost like $69 on clearance. So I don't know, but he was sporting some pretty nice shoes. They were like white, Louis Vuitton, maybe. Was that what they were?
I thought he had the black, the Christian Louboutins on, the red bottoms, the black shoes with the red bottoms.
That
That might have
maybe.
been I think that was what he had on. Because I remember the snap or the picture. I think it was him. It was either him, and then Trey had some on too. I think Trey had the Burberry sneakers on. I don't know. It doesn't. It, it matters, but it don't matter.
Well,
But
okay.
yeah.
So you gave me matters to know. You gave me great insight into Hendon's shoe collection. So give me some insight into Brew McCoy. What makes that guy tick? What is he like off the field?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned tell you something that you don't know. Him and Chase McGrath, they're roommates because they went to USC. They were in California together. Uh, they play a lot of like VR golf, like virtual reality golf. I don't know if you even ever heard of that. You know what virtual reality is, right?
I have heard, my son wants me to buy one of those, so I've heard of it.
They don't even play. They're not even good at actual golf. They just play virtual reality golf, which I think is hilarious. But no, I don't know. Bruce, like he's always the same guy. You know what I mean? You're always gonna get a big like a joke out of him, or just he'll be laughing or whatever. So yeah, he's always really fun to be around, really easy to be around. You know, those type of people that doesn't really know if you know him that well or not. Just kind of easygoing and nice to be around. So he's definitely one of those people.
In a perfect world, an 85 scholarship team, what do you think is the right amount of transfers to bring in? Because you don't want to disrupt chemistry, but you could also use the boost now that that's an option. What do you think is a good number year in and year out?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily a number. I think it's more about you mentioned like chemistry. I think it's more of like a trust factor for us with the coaches. Like, they're not going to bring anyone in. They're not going to transfer anyone in that could disrupt the culture, right? They're going to bring all the people that they bring in. We all trust and believe like these are going to be good guys and they're going to be people that actually contribute to our team rather than take away from it. So at the end of the day, like I think I don't really try to concern myself too much about like like the numbers of we only took how this many transfers or we only have this many people committed. Like as long as they're bringing people in that are going to help and they're not going to take away, like I'm good.
Well, let me ask you in a different sort of way. Why is this team, because I believe it is, why is this team well equipped to handle an influx of transfers? What is it about the mindset, the mind frame about this team that allows a half dozen guys to come in and be treated like they've been there all along?
I mean, I think it kind of came from just like we lost a lot of people to the transfer portal. Like we had a bunch of our friends, of our teammates that ended up leaving and ended up having successful careers other places and are successful now or have just left and have a really bright future, whatever it may be. And we know kind of how tough it was for them, leaving our community, leaving our family, right, and going and joining another one, and it's kind of just a weird in between thing. So I think as the team, like welcoming those new transfers or whatever, we kind of just take it as we lost a guy, but this person's coming in and we're gonna treat them just like what I mean, just like everybody else. And I don't know if it's just the tightness of the group, we all really get along with each other, or if it's I don't know. I don't know what it is, if it's just the family values instilled from the coaches and stuff or whatever. But yeah, it's weird how they kind of come in and just don't skip a beat and they just fit right in usually.
I also think optimism. It's a word you didn't choose, but I would throw in there too. The fact that it's so optimistic right now. I've covered SEC teams, not Tennessee, that they brought in transfers because Jacob, the coach, was afraid he was about to get fired. And if he didn't bring in junior college, this is more junior college kids 10 years ago, but when they
Hmm.
brought in junior
Yeah.
college kids like crazy, you bring in 10 or 12 of those, you don't know what kind of football team, good or bad, that you could have in the fall.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the same thing is you get comfortable with the guys you're around and yeah, I don't know. I guess it is a different game where everyone is just more, like you said, more optimistic. Whenever we get guys like we see that there's someone committed or whatever, we're all like looking them up and trying to, looking at their highlights, looking at whatever, looking at their social medias, and it starts to feel like you already know them before they even get here. So Like I remember when Valus came, it was so cool. We were like, wow, like this kid's like really a baller. Like this guy's gonna come in and obviously if I was a slot wide receiver, I might not be like super ecstatic about it. But then again, Valus gets here and he's like a great guy and he loves being around the guys and he loves like getting better and pushing other people. And you're like, okay, like this is really, you know what I mean? It kind of, you forget about that and it becomes less competitive and becomes more just, like you said, optimistic, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think the team's optimism quickly bleeds over into the transfers. That's why I think that uh, the transfer, in my opinion, and what does that matter? But in my opinion, the transfers are going to be so successful for you because being around you guys enough, there seems to be this optimism about the season. Last thing, and let me get you out of here. Is there any one player you stalemate more than anybody else in practice? A defensive player that just seems like you guys always end up kind of stalemated as opposed to ones winning. Who do you enjoy going against? Who's that guy?
Um, Man, you talking like in the trenches, like when we're blocking and stuff, or
Oh,
what?
yeah, because I know you do both. You're a
Yeah.
electric pass
Um,
receiver, but also can block.
yeah. No, I think so Tyler Barron is a big guy, right? He's about my size. And so it's interesting to always see like he's also got like a quick first step. He's strong, he's explosive, plays through his hips well. Um and so sometimes, like you said, sometimes it's, us just hitting each other and we're just kind of standing there like running our feet, running. It just looks funny, because we're just running our feet into each other. Sometimes he gets me, sometimes I cut him off, I get in inside of him and get my block done, like whatever. I think it's kind of back and forth with me and him, and it's always good competition to go against him because I know that he's going to, he's going to be the same way every single time. So I think me and him are a good matchup for sure on the edge.
That's a pretty good sign because he's one of the better defensive players. If you're able to handle him or at least stalemate him, that's a pretty good
Yeah.
sign. The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden.
To own the more that owns every job, then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
So I'm going to go totally off script because Bill
All right.
Russell passed away, longtime Celtic,
Mhm.
and I just
Yeah.
incredibly, I think, an impressive guy. The way he overcame some serious racial issues there in Boston that
Yeah.
probably still exist, and the fact that he had the best laugh. I don't know if you've heard that of any human being that's ever walked the face of the earth. When he laughed, I mean, it made you want to laugh, even if you had no idea what he's laughing about. But
Right.
the best NBA basketball player all time, as this may be the most baited question I've asked Jay in like 3 months, but the best one of all time. Where stand you, sir?
I can't do it. I don't know. I don't watch enough basketball. I never watched MJ play, right? I wasn't alive when it happened.
Oh,
I've watched Kobe. I appreciate Kobe. I'm one of the guys that thinks Kobe is should be up there in the consideration. And obviously I've seen what LeBron James is able to do with the basketball, and it's ridiculous. And no one else right now can do what LeBron James can do or has done in his prime, even though the guy's 30 some years old and still doing it. But I don't know. I'm not going to pick a side because I just can't. I'm not educated. But um, I don't know.
I will say this: the Jordan mystique continues to grow. I watched his last 3 minutes with the Bulls against the Jazz, and the
Hmm.
Jazz as much lost that game as he won it. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but we remember it way different. So, but yeah, I mean, LeBron is definitely the guy in your generation, no question about it. But I'm just saying, Bill Russell had a ring for every finger, and I'm a Celtics fan, so I'll just leave it at that. But he is
Hey,
he is Jacob Warren. We'll have a complete week of practice underneath his belt when we next visit. This is the Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. A production of Off the Hook Sports.